GiGi was traded for sex and trapped in a nightmare. For years, she looked for a way out of the terrible life she was living. And then one day, while panhandling on the streets, GiGi met someone who gave her much more than just pocket change.
These people are supposed to love you and protect you and raise you and take care of you. And for someone that's supposed to do that to be hurting you in a way that steals your childhood, your innocence, is extremely traumatizing.
GiGi Calcagno was just a child when her adoptive parents began sexually abusing her and her brother, who was also adopted. It didn't stop there.
Physical abuse and mental abuse played a big part of my childhood as well. I went somewhere else mentally. I blanked it out, and whatever was happening to my body was not happening to my mind.
To everyone else, her parents were upstanding neighbors who provided well for their children and took them to Mass regularly.
I really thought that God was not concerned about me. I thought he was for other people, and that this was my life.
When GiGi was in her teens, her brother also began sexually abusing her. She was trapped in a nightmare.
I didn't see a way out, and neighbors, nobody wanted to get involved, nobody wanted to help. Everyone turned a blind eye, so I felt so alone. So I slit my wrist and ended up being taken to a 72-hour hold for an evaluation.
After high school, she moved out and lived with friends and on the street. By then, she was addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Cocaine, heroin, whatever they had, I took it and didn't ask any questions.
Then a friend told her how she could make good money and have access to all the drugs she wanted by stripping.
And a friend of mine said she'd introduce me to the owner. I was so naive when I was 21 at that point. I didn't know that she was recruiting me. He was a trafficker.
For several years, she was in a relationship with the owner, who gifted her with lots of clothes and jewelry, but also later pimped her out.
I was in love with the idea of getting out of the life I had. I was in love with someone taking care of me and protecting me and finally providing things for me that I couldn't provide for myself.
He eventually got bored with her and kicked her back out on the streets. GiGi then landed in jail for falsifying a prescription and disorderly conduct. She was ordered into what happened to be a faith-based rehab program.
I didn't know it was a Christian rehab when I went to register. Gave me a life recovery Bible, and I started reading it on my own. I remember, "We love because he first loved us." That was the first verse that I read, and it just hit my heart. I was loved by God.
Despite this experience, she relapsed soon after leaving rehab. Again, she would fall into the hands of another sex trafficker, a woman she calls Kat, who befriended her.
She was a big controller and user, a lot of coercion. She took my ID, my birth certificate, all the money. I had nothing. I was strictly to make money for her benefit.
One day, GiGi was panhandling for money in Memphis when someone gave her some money and then invited her to church. He turned out to be a pastor.
He paid for my motel room until I could get my paycheck, and that Sunday he arranged a ride for me to come to church and Sunday school, and I was taken to lunch and provided for. It was just amazing, the love.
GiGi began attending the church and heard more about the love she'd read about years earlier in rehab.
God started speaking to me, and I started journaling, listening to the word all the time.
The church members helped rescue GiGi from Kat and also helped her find a job. In 2017, she surrendered her life to Christ.
And I just wanted to hear God say, "I'm here, I delivered you, I'll keep you safe." And he did. And I started thinking about getting baptized. And my whole church gathered around the swimming pool, and I got baptized. I feel like when I came up out of that water, I was officially a new creation. That was washing away everything that had happened, and that Jesus defined me, not my past.
Today, GiGi has a church family that loves her, a good job, has a degree, and hopes to write the story of what Jesus has done for her.
And Matthew, it says, "Come to me and I will give you rest, all you who are weary and heavy burdened." Well, GiGi's done that. I mean, GiGi walks in the Spirit, And it's a beautiful flow to see God manifest himself in her life, and it's contagious.
No matter what you've been through in this life, Jesus is bigger. No matter what your story has been like, with Jesus, your story's not done.
Your story becomes his story. God's made promises, you know. He has said, when you come to me, I'm here, I'm available, I'm asking you to come to me, and I'll take all the burdens, all the pain, all that's been done to you, and I'll redeem it. You know what it means to redeem? It means he takes it, he takes back what's been stolen from you, your value. That's one of the things that happened to Gigi. She just felt like she had no value, and understandably betrayed again and again and again, and misused again and again and again. You know, when someone is in a scenario like that, God is calling to them always, and to you as well, whatever your situation might be. His arms are stretched out to you. His spirit is calling you all of the time. But the world's over here very noisy, and there are always those people hovering around you who want to use and abuse you. But you can step outside of that. You know, one of the things Gigi said in her story that I thought was so great was she just, as she came to know God and to believe that God loved her and that she had value, she just wanted to hear more from him. She got into the Word. She didn't have some highly educated preacher sharing with her the gospel of Jesus. She took the Word of God and she opened it and she began to read it for herself. We have the privilege and the ability of doing that. In our country, it's very easy to get a Bible and to read the Word of God. If you haven't done that, I just want to encourage you to do that, to find it, to read it, and to understand that those promises made in there are for you.